Picture this. It's 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night and you're lying in bed, phone in hand, and you keep seeing it. Your college roommate just posted from Bali, the infinity pool, the sunset, the whole thing. Your coworker drove a brand new BMW to the office this week and made sure to park it right up front where everyone could see it. Your neighbor just announced they're putting in a pool. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you start doing the math in your head, a quiet, uncomfortable kind of math. And you wonder, am I behind? Am I the only one who doesn't have it figured out? Because from the outside, it genuinely looks like everyone around you is living some incredible financial life, and you're just here. But what if I told you that you might be doing better, measurably, provably, mathematically better than almost every single one of those people? That the person quietly driving a 4-year-old Honda to work, packing lunch, passing on the group trip that doesn't quite fit the budget this year, that person might be the one who ends up genuinely, undeniably wealthy. Not rich looking, actually rich. My name is Nico, and today we're figuring out the real signs that you are ahead of most people your age. Not the Instagram signs, not the neighborhood signs, the actual financial, measurable, compounding signs, the ones that don't photograph well but will absolutely matter in 20 years. And I promise you this is not going to be a fluffy list of affirmations. We're going to look at real data, real characters, and I'm going to show you exactly how the quiet decisions you're making right now are compounding into something most people won't see coming. If this is the kind of content you find valuable, hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps the channel, and I work hard to make sure every video is worth your time. So let's start with some context, because here's where the picture gets really uncomfortable. According to a 2024 Bankrate survey, 57% of Americans say they would struggle to cover an unexpected $1,000 expense. Not $10,000. Not a major medical event. $1,000. Lending Club's financial wellness report found that roughly 57% of U.S. adults were living paycheck to paycheck, and that number includes people earning well into 6 figures. The Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances shows that the median retirement savings for Americans between the ages of 35 and 44 sits at around $45,000. The median, meaning half of all people in that age range, have less than that saved for retirement, right in the middle of what should be some of their highest earning years. Experian puts the average American credit card balance at around $6,500. And according to Edmunds, the average monthly payment on a new vehicle in 2024 crossed $735 a month. I want you to hold those numbers in your head, because they are going to completely reframe the way you see yourself and the way you see the people around you. Let me introduce you to Marcus and Sarah. Both are 34 years old. Both live in medium-sized cities. Both make somewhere in the range of $72,000 to $75,000 a year. From the outside, Marcus is the one who looks like he's winning. He drives a brand new 2024 Chevy Tahoe, $712 a month. He's got a sleek downtown apartment. He takes 2 vacations a year, one international, one domestic, and his Instagram tells a genuinely compelling story. He's the guy that people point to and think, yeah, he's got it together. He looks established. He looks like he belongs. Sarah drives a 2019 Honda CR-V she paid off 2 years ago. She lives in a 2-bedroom apartment with a close friend in a perfectly fine neighborhood. She goes out once a week, maybe. She takes 1 trip a year. Her Instagram is fine. Nothing that's going to send anyone spiraling at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Now let me show you the math, because this is where everything changes. Marcus's take-home pay is roughly $4,700 a month after taxes. His Tahoe payment is $712. He pays $1,850 a month for his downtown apartment. His company auto-enrolled him in a 401k at 3%, so about $180 goes in monthly. And he's never touched that setting. He has around $3,400 sitting in his checking account, $8,600 in credit card debt across 2 cards. And when you actually add up what he owes, the truck loan, the credit cards, versus what he owns, his net worth is somewhere in the neighborhood of negative $12,000. He is not in crisis. He's not a disaster, but he is not building anything either. Every single month he earns, he spends, and the needle barely moves. He's treading water in a really nice looking way. Sarah's take-home is about $4,500 a month. No car payment. She pays $975 in rent, splitting the apartment with her friend. She's contributing 12% of her gross salary to her 401k. Her employer matches 3%, so she's getting 15% of her salary going to retirement every single month. She has $12,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account as her emergency fund, $34,000 in her 401k, another $16,000 in a Roth IRA she opened at 27, and zero consumer debt. Her net worth is somewhere around $62,000 and climbing every single month, automatically, without her having to think about it. Same age, similar income, completely different financial reality. And here's where it gets really really interesting. The gap between them is not income. It's not luck. It's not even that Marcus is doing obviously reckless things. A Tahoe is a capable truck. Tulum is a beautiful destination. That downtown apartment is probably genuinely enjoyable. The gap is the invisible math happening underneath every one of those choices. The gap is what the money is doing when it is not being spent. Let me talk about the psychology here, because understanding why this is so hard to see is just as important as the math itself. We are wired, at a biological level, to measure ourselves against the people around us. Psychologists call it social comparison theory, and it's one of the oldest cognitive shortcuts we have. For most of human history, if your neighbor had more resources than you, that was a real signal. A signal that something was off, that you needed to adapt or compete. The problem is that our brains have not caught up to a world where your neighbor can drive a $55,000 truck on a $712 a month payment, post photos from Tulum on a credit card, and look perfectly fine while doing all of it. The signal is broken. What looks like financial success increasingly has nothing to do with actual financial health, and our instincts cannot tell the difference. The financial products industry has figured this out in spectacular fashion. The car industry, the travel industry, the luxury goods industry, they've all built their marketing around one central insight that never changes. Status is visible, and wealth is not. A new BMW in the driveway tells a story. A $90,000 brokerage account does not. So they sell the visible thing. They give you the zero-down offer, the 84-month loan, the you deserve this messaging, the monthly payment framing that makes a $55,000 purchase feel like a $712 decision, and they have built a trillion-dollar industry on the gap between how financial life looks and how it actually is. The result is a culture where millions of people are performing wealth rather than building it. They've curated the appearance of financial success so thoroughly and so convincingly that the people who are actually building something real start to feel like they're the ones doing it wrong. And that feeling, that quiet anxiety that you're behind, is not an accident. It's a byproduct of a system that profits from your insecurity. Here's a number I want you to really sit with, that $712 Tahoe payment. Let's say Marcus keeps doing that for the next 10 years, which, statistically, is exactly what will happen, because the average American has had a car payment for virtually their entire adult life. Most people pay off one car and finance the next one within 6 months. Over 10 years, Marcus spends $85,440 in car payments. That's before elevated insurance on a $55,000 truck, before the higher registration fees, before the increased fuel cost compared to a more efficient vehicle. When you add all of that in, the real cost of that decision is probably closer to $120,000 over a decade. But that is still not the number that actually matters. Let me show you the math that will really change how you see this. If you take that $712 a month and invest it instead in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, earning the historical average of roughly 9% annually over 10 years, that becomes approximately $136,000. Not $85,000 in payments you made, $136,000 in assets you built. That's the opportunity cost of the car payment. And at 20 years, $712 a month invested consistently turns into right around $481,000, nearly $500,000, for the cost of one car payment every month for 20 years. The math is brutal, not because the truck is evil, but because the compounding is relentless, and it works just as hard against you as it does for you, depending on which direction the money flows. Now I want to be fair, because I know some of you are already composing the objection in your head. Not everyone has Sarah's exact options. Some people genuinely need a truck for work. Some cities aren't roommate feasible. Some people have kids, medical situations, family obligations that change what's possible. All of that is real, and I'm not here to tell you that every dollar spent on comfort is a mistake. That's not the point. The point is that most people, including Marcus, never actually run the number. They see a monthly payment that fits in the budget and they call it affordable. And affordable and wise are not the same thing. Sarah isn't driving a paid-off Honda because she hates nice vehicles. She's doing it because when she was 28, someone showed her what that car payment would compound into, and she decided she'd rather have the $481,000 than the truck. That was the entire decision. One honest calculation. So let me walk you through the real signs that you're ahead. Not the Instagram signs, the actual ones. If you have no consumer debt, no credit card balance, no personal loan, nothing carrying an interest rate except maybe a mortgage or student loans you're actively managing, you are ahead of the majority of Americans, period. The average person is carrying $6,500 in credit card debt at somewhere between 20 and 27% interest. That is not a minor inconvenience. That is a machine that is making you poorer every single month, quietly and automatically. And most people have lived with it so long they've stopped noticing it's running. If you have an emergency fund, even 2 or 3 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account earning 4 or 5%, you are ahead of most people your age. More than half of Americans would struggle to cover a $1,000 emergency. That's not an abstraction. That's the difference between a broken transmission being an annoying Tuesday and being a financial crisis that derails your budget for the next 8 months. The piece that comes with a cash cushion doesn't show up on a spreadsheet, but it has a real compounding effect on every other financial decision you make. If you are contributing to a retirement account consistently, any amount, every month, you are ahead. If you're putting in 10% or more of your gross income, you're well ahead. And here's the thing about time that I want you to feel, not just understand. Let's say you're 31 right now and you have $20,000 saved. You're contributing $400 a month. At a 9% return, you'll have approximately $1 million by age 62. The same $400 a month, started at age 41 with nothing saved, gets you to about $270,000 by 62. Same contribution, same return. A decade of delay costs you $730,000. Time is the ingredient you literally cannot buy back, and every month it's going to a car payment or sitting in a 0.01% savings account is a month of compounding that's gone forever. If your net worth is positive, if what you own is worth more than what you owe, you are ahead, genuinely ahead. Positive net worth under 35 is not the norm. It is uncommon. The Federal Reserve data shows median net worth for households under 35 sits around $39,000, and a significant portion of that is tied up in vehicles that depreciate the moment they leave the lot. If you've got $50,000 in assets and $18,000 in debt, you're at a $32,000 net worth, and you're doing better than most people your age will admit to. And if you are living below your means, if there is a real consistent gap between what you earn and what you spend, and that gap is going somewhere intentional, you are playing a fundamentally different game than the majority of people around you. Lifestyle inflation is the single quietest wealth killer I've ever seen. You get a raise, the apartment gets nicer, you get promoted, the car gets bigger, you land the new job, and within 6 months the spending has expanded to meet the income, and the gap closes. Most people have done this with every single raise they've ever gotten without even noticing. If you have protected that gap, if you have resisted that pull, that is one of the most powerful financial instincts a person can develop. Now let me bring Marcus and Sarah forward one more time, because I want you to see where this ends up. Let's fast forward to age 64. Let's say Marcus eventually wakes up. Let's be generous and say it happens at 40. He pays off the credit cards, gets a sensible used car, and starts investing $700 a month. He's got about $9,000 in retirement savings at that point, and he invests $700 a month for 24 years at 9%. He ends up with about $685,000. That's not nothing. That's actually a livable outcome. Sarah, who started at 27 and has been consistently contributing $900 a month between her 401k and Roth IRA, by 64, she has approximately $2.5 million. The difference is not that Marcus was reckless and Sarah was miserly. The difference is 13 years of compounding. That's it. Those 13 years, where the money was sitting in a truck payment and a credit card balance instead of an investment account, are worth somewhere between $1.50 and $1.8 million in retirement wealth. Time is the ingredient, and the longer you wait to protect it, the more expensive the delay becomes. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. Most of the people who look the most financially comfortable are running on an invisible deficit. They've built a lifestyle that requires the income to never stop. No layoff, no health event, no economic downturn. And that is a fragile way to live, no matter how polished the exterior looks. One bad quarter at work, one medical bill, one major unexpected expense, and the whole construction starts to show its cracks. The people who look unremarkable, the ones driving the used CRV, eating lunch from home more often than not, letting the group chat know they'll sit out the Vegas trip this time. Those people are building something that doesn't require perfect circumstances, something that can absorb a crisis and come out the other side intact. And that resilience, that financial durability, is worth far more than it looks like from the outside. You become a different kind of person when you build that foundation. Not just wealthier, genuinely psychologically different, more patient, less reactive to the comparison spiral, because you have a number growing in the background that quietly anchors you. You stop caring what the parking lot looks like because you know what your brokerage account looks like. You stop performing financial success and start actually building it. And that shift, from performing to building, is not just a financial transformation, it's an identity one. You become the kind of person whose future is not dependent on everything going perfectly. You become the kind of person who could handle it if it didn't. So if you're watching this and you've got an emergency fund, even a small one, if you've got no credit card debt, or you're actively paying it down with a real plan. If you're contributing something to a retirement account consistently, month after month, if your net worth is positive and you're guarding the gap between what you earn and what you spend, I want you to hear this clearly, because I mean it. You are not behind. You are not the one who has it wrong. You are ahead. Quietly, measurably, meaningfully ahead of the majority of people your age, regardless of what their car looks like in the driveway, regardless of what their Instagram says about where they spent last weekend. The math is on your side. The compounding is on your side. The only thing that can take it away from you is believing that the performance is the reality. It isn't. It never was. The difference between building wealth and just looking like you have it is one honest calculation away. And the fact that you're here, asking these questions, thinking about this stuff, that's not nothing. That's actually everything. If this video gave you something real to think about, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps more than most people realize. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, how to actually close lifestyle inflation, how to structure an investment plan, the psychology of financial comparison, subscribe, because we cover all of it in depth. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm just a person who finds this stuff genuinely fascinating. Please talk to a qualified financial professional before making any major decisions with your money.